What's up, Havelock? Welcome back to another podcast. Today we've got with me my buddy and the commander of FRC-East, Jim Belmont. What's up, Jimbo?
Thank you, sir. I appreciate that. I'm happy to be here. This is great. This is amazing.
Yeah, well, I'm glad you came. We're going to talk about FRC-East. We're going to talk about F-35s. We're going to talk about, believe it or not, you're looking at a man in a Navy uniform. We're going to talk about jobs today in Eastern North Carolina and what that looks like.
Absolutely.
So let's start with you are, man, because I think that's important.
Okay.
So, Jimbo, tell everybody a little bit about yourself, where you're from, maybe what you like to do, that kind of thing. Because look, you are one of our leaders, but you're a human.
I am.
You got to remind people that sometimes.
I am a normal person. So I was born and raised in Chicago. Went to Navy boot camp about 15 minutes north of my house, so that was kind of neat. While I was in boot camp, realized that chipping paint and serving coffee to the boss wasn't exactly what I wanted to do. So finished my school up with Embry-Riddle and got picked up to be an officer in the aviation maintenance program. So I've worked with A6s, EA6Bs. Interesting enough, one of the displays in the convention center, the Pioneer, the RQ-2B, that was one of my aircraft I worked with.
Really?
So every time I go in there, I always look at that and get a little nostalgic because it's a retired aircraft that I worked on, so I know I'm getting old. Been on multiple carriers, multiple air bases, but I have to tell you, in the 15 different places that I've worked over the past 30 years, this area here has been the greatest that I've been stationed at, not only with the support from the community, but also leaders like yourself, and I really, really appreciate that.
Cool, man. I love hearing that. I was telling you earlier, we were just messing around, that I was in the Pentagon this week, and you hear the same things about the relationship between Havelock and Cherry Point and Eastern North Carolina, New Bern, Craven County, Carteret, Jones, Pamlico, and how that's so much different from. And these are folks in the Pentagon that were here 15 years ago. Man, you guys are so different down there.
Yeah, it's the, I want to say the love that the community gives the military here is things I've never seen before. They understand what we do and they appreciate what we do. And some of the other places that I've been to, it's all about their area and what can the community do for them. It seems like here the community is what can we do for the military, and that's just amazing, and it makes those that serve here want to stay here. And I'll tell you, I'm one of those. Once I retire, I want to stay here because of just the love that's been shown to me by the community and by everybody out there.
Outstanding.
Yeah.
So if you don't know what Fleet Readiness Center East is, we should talk about that.
Please.
So you maybe have been here long enough, you've heard of NADEP, NARF, O&R, A&R. It's been like a million names. Bottom line, here's how I think about it. If you don't know what FRC East is, they're a depot level maintenance group. What does that mean? They tear it all the way apart, put it all the way back together. So that you've got multiple levels of maintenance in the military, but at the depot level, I say it's like you can change your own oil. That's like operational level, right? You got eye levels, a little bit more involved.
Yeah, you can change your car radio out or make some minor modifications.
But then what you guys do is the whole nother level of literally you take, for example, a helicopter or an airplane, and you've got multiple type series models over there. You will tear it down all the way to like it was a beginning aircraft from the factory to the frame and everything.
Bare metal.
And then build it all the way back up.
Yes, sir.
And you have the ability over there in that industrial facility to take each component and rebuild those components. So everything's brand new when it goes back up.
Right.
What do you think the oldest, and I didn't prep him for this, so what do you think the oldest aircraft is y'all are working on? Is it one of the 53s, or what do you think one of the oldest ones?
Yeah, right now it's the 853s, the old legacy ones. I mean, we're still working on the Aviate Harrier. So both of those are probably about the same age. And it's interesting when you see ones that are coming in that are 20, 30, 40 years old. And then right next to it, we're pulling a 2 or 3 year old F-35, or even one of the newer V-22s come in for some sort of modification. But we will take those 853s and AV-8Bs that are 30, 40 years old and send them out showroom new by the time we're done with them.
Which is amazing when you think about what you have to go through, because particularly the Harrier, now completely unsupported by the manufacturer.
Yes, sir.
You guys literally are making parts in-house with manufacturing, additive manufacturing, and all kinds of things to keep that aircraft doing what it's doing, right?
Right, and we know that it's going to be another couple of years. So we are lucky enough that some of the old Harriers are lying around, what we call in the boneyard, that we can take parts off of. But even when we have to take a part off it, we have to retool it a little bit to get it up to whether it's today's technology or a new refurbishment to it. So it's a longer process than you would think.
I love it too, because a quick flex that we gotta drop is we're the only ones left flying Harriers here at Cherry Point. And literally, when I was just in the Pentagon talking with aviation up there, they still brag about how ready the AV-8 is.
And it is. It absolutely is.
I mean, they're doing the nation's work as we're sitting here right now. They're off deployed doing the nation's work.
Right. And it's because some of the F-35s are late to need that we haven't been able to transition these squadrons and upgrade them to the next generation fighter. So they're having to do 2023, 2024 work with these 1980s aircraft.
And y'all make that happen.
Hey, absolutely.
You're a big part of that anyway.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And that's the service to the fleet, right? Whatever it takes to get the fleet what they need so they can do the nation's work.
Yes, sir.
And that's helicopters, again, and you work for all departments, right? So we always think about Harriers, so we think, the Marine Corps.
Right.
But you work for everybody in DOD?
So we do. So we have Army helicopters we work on. We have Air Force aircraft that we work on. We have Navy platforms, and then our big lift is all the Marine Corps.
And every now and then you get even State Department stuff. I remember for a little while you were doing some 46s for the State Department back in the day, which I find a lot of people think, you just work on the Marine Corps stuff that's at this base. Man, people other branches bring their aircraft here for you to work on.
They do, absolutely. Not to say anything negative or positive about any of the services, but right now we are getting work from the other services because our rates are lower than what their service is offering.
And that's another thing people don't realize, I think, is FRC-East is a business.
Yes, we are.
You run as a capital fund.
We do. So we are $1 billion a year business that we bring in revenue. With that being said, it costs us $1 billion a year to work. So we are a net zero, or at least try to be a net zero for the taxpayers. They have to pay that. We have to pay that bill. So we try to get as close to zero as this is how much it costs to do the work, and this is how much we're making. And when I say making, whether it's the program office that pays us or the Navy Working Capital Fund to do the work, because unfortunately it's not free. We have about $400 million of salaries to pay, as well as the 500 and some million in materials that we have to do to upkeep these aircraft, the engines, and the components.
Yeah, because you guys are, of the $2.2 billion of Cherry Point's impact to North Carolina, you guys are like 1.2 of that. You're a shade over $1 billion of that, right?
We are.
And so it makes sense. So you operate like a Fortune 500 company that does depot level work, but you also have to think of it from the perspective almost like a nonprofit, because if the Marine Corps gets a good deal from you, that's good for all of us taxpayers.
That's right. And again, we reinvest in ourselves through the Working Navy Capital Fund to help invest in our buildings and pay for, like I said, those salaries, but we don't make money to basically give back. It's a break even. Now there are times when we are able to go lower than the money that was allocated to us because of things that we do, improvements. Then that does go back into the Navy Working Capital Fund, which is like a checkbook that the government has to fund these things. And we've been pretty successful in doing that, where we come in lower than what was budgeted for rather than above. So we've been able to keep our rates lower than the average.
I find it fascinating. I think a lot of people don't think about FRC that way. Like I always think about you, and I know you're XO Birdie, and you guys have the unique, by the way, I should say, y'all have this unique thing over there where you guys fleet up.
We do.
So you were XO for not quite 2 whole years.
No, it was just a year.
Yeah, and then you get to become CO.
Correct.
And then Randy Birdie, Captain Birdie's working under you as XO, and then when you move up, he'll fleet. And y'all have already got the next one,
we do.
Marine.
And he's a Marine colonel coming in. So for all of you, don't worry about it. The Navy's not taking over the depot. We do have a Marine coming in, and Colonel McDonald actually worked at Fleet Readiness Center East. I
think he was a major then.
He was
years
ago. So he understands the business, knows the business, and he was really, really excited not only to apply for it, but then to get selected. So
here's the thing I say, and you look at all that, and this is what I was about to say, which is it's when I talk to you and I sit with you and I talk to your team, because you have a heck of a team over there.
Yes, sir.
It's like talking to a Fortune 500 company, Fortune 100 company. You guys, you're running $1 billion industry. And you have to think about safety. I think about you guys went through a huge safety overhaul over the last few years, industrial safety.
Right.
You work on vehicles that fly the president. You work on things that are putting all of our service members where they need to be to do nation's work. So you've got to think about all of that and getting it done on time.
Right.
And with brand new stuff, you can still get a part for a F-35.
You can.
But getting one for a Harrier is a different animal. So you got to figure out how to make your own parts. I think that's fascinating. Anyway, we could talk about that all day.
We could. The interesting thing, though, is so we are the #1 industrial employer east of 95.
Absolutely.
The third largest in the state of North Carolina. And a lot of people don't really know what Fleet Readiness Center East does. So I appreciate the ability to be able to talk about it. We get about 15 new hires every 2 weeks. So Fleet Readiness Center East, to be able to sustain where it's at right now, needs about 250 people a year, just due to attrition, retirements, things like that. We think we're going to be going up to about 400 people a year that we're going to need to hire because of all of the new work that's coming in. So for all of you out there that wonder, what is Fleet Readiness Center East? What do we do? Who do we need to contact? USAjobs.gov is #1, the first thing to look for. Put in Fleet Readiness Center East, but also we have a webpage on Facebook. We also have LinkedIn that weekly we post job offerings
on LinkedIn.
On LinkedIn as well. Yeah, and again, just to get out and to reach anybody and everybody.
And aren't y'all doing job fairs too?
We do. So not only are we going out to the high schools to do the job fairs, but we also do at probably 4 or 5 events a year where we have the hirings. And it's not always just on base. We try and get off base as well, because some people right now, if they don't have someone that they know in the military or have base access, it's a little bit harder. So we do those off base as well.
Yeah, I think you might have been EXO, or it might have been right before you got here. They did one at the community college right behind us here at the Havelock campus. And I mean, we had people parked all the way to Annunciation to walk over. There were just thousands of people that came out.
Well, and again, the average salary, what it says right now outside the fence line here in Craven, Carteret, and some of the other counties, is about $40,000 a year, which is a livable salary, and that's a good salary. But I will tell you, and I'm not boasting, but Fleet Readiness Center East's average salary is above $70,000 right now.
Almost twice as much.
Almost. So if that puts a bug in your ear or maybe entices you a little bit, again, we are always looking for help. There's ways to submit resumes. You may not find a job currently that's posted, but we have a system that will hold on your resume, and if there's a buzzword in there and we're looking for a position that now meets that requirement, your resume will get filtered in.
I got you. So if you go on USA Jobs and you put it in and you're a sheet metal guy, right now there's not a sheet metal opportunity. If that opens up, you'll get a notification.
Yes, sir.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And let's talk about those jobs, because you've got everything over there from sheet metal work, composite work, electronics, hydraulics, pneumatics.
Right. We have
logistics.
Facilities folks. So
facilities too. You got millions of dollars of facilities to take care of, hundreds of millions of dollars.
And that comes from builders, people that make cabinetries, things like that, flooring experts. We have diesel mechanics for our support equipment. We have lawyers, human resource, admin support. So the spectrum is pretty wide.
Because you're $1 billion industrial complex.
With 4,300 people right now. So
4,300. And you got a lot of new work coming.
We do.
And with that new work, you're saying you could expect 400, 500 more jobs over the next few years?
I think within the next 5 years, we will need over 5,000 people.
I need to get a crystal ball, man, so we can get some real numbers on that.
Right.
But it is exciting when you think about that. So that's the other thing, as a $1 billion industry, you guys are also looking for new work. It's not like stuff falls in your lap.
No, and that's the hard part, because a lot of the program offices, much like the people out in the community, don't know exactly what we do. We have to be our own advocates and go out to the different things and say, hey, what kind of work do you have? What kind of work do you have? What kind of needs do you have? So a quick story, about 5 years ago, the C-130 program office came to the FRC headquarters and said, hey, we need help. Right now, we are spending a lot of money to get these C-130s fixed, and it's taken twice as long as we're being promised. The problem is those C-130s are pretty big. That's a big footprint. They needed about 500,000 square feet of real estate to do that. And the FRC didn't have that. We found up in Kinston that they've got a big airport that's got room. So we just worked with the state of North Carolina to secure an appropriation for $350 million.
Largest single appropriation in the history of North Carolina that was not DOT, by the way.
Yes, sir. And oh, by the way, thank you, sir, for being a big opponent of that. I mean, your help helped that cross that finish line. But largest appropriation, $350 million to build a 700,000 square foot facility up in Kinston that's going to bring in 12 C-130 aircraft that will equate to about $30 million a year of work coming into the Fleet Readiness Center.
Mm-hmm. That's jobs, that's future workload.
It is. It's about 300 extra jobs to do that. Now, that number might sound big, but the other service was charging about $50 million to do that same work.
Wow.
So we're coming in not quite half, but right about there of what it was costing the program to do that same work.
And some of this work is going to stretch out for decades and decades and decades. So
Absolutely.
you guys, one thing I want to make sure we talk about, you guys also have this educational outreach thing, and that's where I feel like you guys have really been killing it the last few years in the community. You've got your Fab Lab you drive around for kids to see. You're in the middle schools, right? Don't y'all start at the middle school level?
And we have to. And when I first came on board and they said they were going to the middle schools, I was very confused. I'm like, why are we looking at middle schoolers, 10, 12, 13-year-olds, to do our workforce? And they said, sir, in 5 to 7 years, that's when we're going to need to grow by potentially 1,000 employees. If we start with the 13-year-olds, they're going to be that age.
They're only 5, 6 years away from
That's
that.
right.
Yeah.
So the light bulb goes off after you. So we outreach to, I want to say it was over 17,000 students, faculties, parents in last year, 2023 alone. And just that increased the knowledge of what Fleet Readiness Center did, because a lot of people, again, don't know.
Well, when we do our ECAP STEM camp, your engineers are in there helping the kids work through the problems. They come to the showcase. They've done a lot of events. They're in the community all the time trying to help these young folks understand what life can look like.
Right.
It doesn't have to be engineering. It can be banging on a piece of sheet metal if you like. It can be working on composites.
It is. And the interesting thing about this area is you've got a lot of farmers still that live out here, that maybe the children don't have the means or don't have the desire to go on to college. We actually have a large number of non-degree jobs, high school diploma jobs there that, again, the community and people just didn't realize it. They're like, well, you have all these smart people. Well, smart people can have high school diplomas as well. So we look for those individuals, not just the ones coming out of Duke, UNC, ENC. We'll take them right out of high school, and that I think is our future. Is when a student graduates high school, they'll walk across the stage, grab the diploma in one hand and a job offer from FRC-East in the other hand.
Right, and I know we're running out of time, but I got to cover this one thing too. So I think this is awesome. Right behind us over here at Craven Community College, we've got the NC State Mechanical Engineering program and the Institute for Aeronautical Technology.
Yes.
You guys hire heavy out of both of those.
So not only do we hire heavy out of both those,
you intern.
But they built their programs around Fleet Readiness Center East so that the students going in there will be hands-on of what exactly we do. So as soon as they graduate, get that certificate, they come right over to us.
Right. So to wrap it up, if you want to get one of those jobs, and you can say, oh, I like the work, I like the pay, whatever it is.
Right.
If you want to serve this country.
Yep, that's who.
Because that's an opportunity.
Right.
My grandfather retired there. My father retired there. You've got people over there now that are third and maybe probably even starting to be fourth generation.
Absolutely. The 80 years that we've been there, we definitely have third and fourth generation people working there.
Right. And you talk about pride in Eastern North Carolina. So here's what you need to know. If you want a job over there, there's lots of ways to do it. Go to usajobs.gov.
Yep.
We're going to have they're going to be doing some things in the community. You can check LinkedIn.
LinkedIn is
doing
Fleet Readiness Center East. That's correct.
And
Facebook is Fleet Readiness Center East as well.
And then add on one more component. If you're coming out of school, you're a young person watching this, you can get a diploma and go to work over there. You can go to our IAT, our Institute for Aeronautical Technology, understand a concept and go to work. You could get an engineering degree in Havelock and go to work. All 9 engineers last year were hired by FRC.
That is a true
all
statement.
9.
All 9.
So anyway, you heard it here. If you want to know more, check out their Facebook, check out their LinkedIn. Keep an eye out because they are in the community. They're everywhere. and they do a great job. Career fairs, you're
Yes.
at the career fairs. Jim Belmont's a great guy. If you see him at Food Line, make sure you give him a high five for his service.
I'm out in the community all as well. And like you said, you don't have to wear this uniform to serve. You can come to Fleet Readiness Center East. You can work. You can be there 40, 50 years if you'd like. But we will absolutely be glad to have you.
Love it. Yeah. All right. Thank you for being with me, Captain Belmont.
Absolutely,
I appreciate it, sir.
Absolutely. Sir, and thank you not only for all the work you do, but also the Allied Cherry Point, all that stuff. I want to present you with my command coin, sir.
Thank you,
Absolutely.
Jim. I appreciate
Absolutely.
that. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
All right, y'all have a great day.